Aram Hamparian is the executive director of the Armenian National Committee of America. Aram, you are asking the U.S. government to protect Christians in the Middle East. What are some of the ways the U.S. can do that?
We'd like to see the United States step up the military intervention against ISIS forces that are targeting Christians and other civilian populations. We'd like to see our government push back against Turkey, which we feel has used the cover of a war against ISIS to actually attack the Kurds and other minority populations. And finally, we think we can do better on the delivery of aid. There are gaps in the delivery of aid that have left very at-risk populations vulnerable, and many of those populations are Christians.
Like I say, you've been talking about this issue for a while. Are you getting any support from Congress?
We sure are. Congressman Fortenberry and Congresswoman Eshoo just introduced legislation that would define what is happening against the Christians in the Middle East as a genocide, which it is. It's an intentional effort, systematic effort to destroy people based on their faith, and that's genocide. So that legislation was just introduced this week. We're eager to see that move forward.
Tell me more specifically about the Armenian community in the Middle East and their plight.
The Armenians have lived throughout the Middle East for centuries. The Armenian presence in our homeland goes back about 4,000 years, but we also have Armenian populations in Lebanon, Iraq, Egypt, and throughout the region. We've come under attack along with many other Christians in recent years. ISIS and other forces of intolerance have targeted Armenians. We're doing what we can in solidarity with other Christian groups to see if we can sort of rally the world to the defense of the Christian presence in the Middle East.
And it's why you're here in town this week. You're here for the In Defense of Christians Summit. Can you give us a snapshot of what you've seen and heard this week?
We've seen tremendous solidarity among the Christian community for the plight of our countrymen back in the homeland, back in the old country. We know that Pope Francis has spoken very, very powerfully about the Armenian genocide, and he has defined what's happening there today as genocide. We see support from the evangelical community, from the Orthodox community, the Catholic community. There's been, what I've noticed is strong solidarity, growing awareness among American politicians. The challenge we face is that so often these things are dealt with at the level of politics. Genocide is a moral issue. We need to elevate the discourse to the moral imperative that this is.
Why do you think it's so important that Christians stay in the Middle East as opposed to just simply fleeing?
Because we're part of the rich tapestry of that part of the world. For so much of the history of that part of the world, the various peoples of the region have worked closely together. We've had differences, but we've been able to kind of to build on those differences and to make a richer society for it. I think that a Middle East without Christians would be a less safe place, a less diverse place, and I think ultimately a more dangerous place.
I'm sure it's something that we wouldn't want to imagine, so obviously it's an important cause that you continue to advocate for. Aram Hamparian, the Executive Director of the Armenian National Committee of America, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you.